Good morning, it's Hisash from L2W Digital. I've had a request from Mikey Wilson from the Loft Tapes on how to set up a Facebook ad campaign to generate downloads for a lead magnet such as an ebook. So I'll take you through the steps this morning to what I use to create a very simple Facebook campaign that should convert into leads. So if you go to your Facebook Manager, go to Create, and the objective you want to use is conversions. So before you can do this, you need to tell Facebook what an offsite conversion looks like. So in this case, it's anyone that actually fills in this form here, which I'll do quickly. And actually comes to this thank you page. So you want to tell Google within the custom conversions that whenever someone lands on this page, it actually links to a lead. This way Google can optimize this way Facebook can actually not Google, Facebook can actually optimize your campaigns further. So we'll call this ebook download. So just let this load. So the first thing to do is just give it a name, a descriptive name, as long as you can come by it. This is where you'll actually have the conversion. So for this example, we'll just use a previous one. Let's have a look. We'll do it lead. So this actually is going to be the custom conversion we just talked about. Audience. So this is basically the people you're going to try and target. So think about who your target audience is for the ebook. Where do they live? How old are they? What are they interested in? So if we take people that live in the UK, and let's assume that they are between the ages of 25 to, say, 50. We'll target both male and female. I think it's too early to split them. I think once you've got some data, you can look at it. Languages you can set to English UK. And detailed targeting. So this is where we want to actually add in interests of people who we feel may be interested in the ebook. So if we go back to the landing page, and we can see that the topic is around music mixing, promotion, creation. So let's see what we can find here. So let's do music production. For example, what I tend to do with the first initial campaign is ensure that the potential reach is as high as possible. This is so that it gives Facebook a good chance to see what it can do, and then you can narrow it down further. So you want to, although that's quite high purely because you want to make sure expanded interest is turned off, it should be quite low now. You want to try and get it to around 10 million plus if you can. And at the same time, but especially within Facebook, try and use single interests or group interests of similar interests. The reason for that is Facebook won't tell you where the lead has come from if you have too many interests. It's very easy and tempting to add as many as possible. So let's see if we can try and get to the million mark. And so there's audio mixing here. Recording studio. There we go. So that's it. If you scroll down, leave everything else as fine. And placements. Well, what I found works really well is if you go to edit placements and just focus on the news feed on Facebook for now. You can test these other ones, but just from experience, we found that these sort of other placements don't work as well. So we'll focus on Facebook feeds and Instagram feeds. Now, you can obviously test these as well, so by all means do so, but when I've run some campaigns in the past, this settings work for us. Leave everything else as it is. Budget. Facebook needs probably a good 2 to 3 days for the algorithm to kick in and see see if they can find people interested in your conversion or your campaign rather. So I'd recommend if you can spend between £10 and £20 and let it per day, let it run for 2 or 3 days. You'll then get a good idea if it's going to convert or not, or you'll have some data to look at the next steps, whether it's the change the image or the headline, or just overall review the campaign to see if it's generating results. I think the first thing is, are people stopping and reading the advert? Are they clicking on it? And then are they converting? You're not going to get any conversions if people don't click on the advert, click on the links first. So but we'll cover that at a later date. Once you go through, if you make sure it's set to conversions and then leave everything else as is. You go to continue. So give it a name, a descriptive name, so I'll call it ad1. Select your Facebook page. So we'll leave it as Altered to be digital for now. And Facebook will give you the option to actually use different sort of assets, whether it's an image or a video. There isn't a right or wrong way for this. I tend to start with a single image, and normally I make sure that's congruent with the site. So for example, let's use this as an image here, which you can upload. Facebook, you need to ensure that the image is relevant and the image is actually going to stop people while they're using Facebook to stop and read your ad. You've got to remember that people on Facebook are not there to buy anything or download anything. They're there to socialize, to see what their friends are doing. If you're going to stop them for 20, 30 seconds, you need to make sure that it's going to be worth their time. So think of an image that's relevant, that's going to stand out, that looks different to the images that are on there, or even a video as well. Sometimes you can go completely left field and try an image which is just there to grab attention. You'll be quite surprised what works. And test different images as well. It's important. So once you've added the image, you actually put the website URL for the landing page. So we'll put this URL here. The important thing is you want to actually make sure the advert headline and text is congruent with the landing page, so that when people click on the advert, they can actually see it's linked to this advert as well. So the landing page is linked. So in this example, we'll use this as the headline. For the text as well, what I tend to do is I use a certain formula where we try and emphasize the statement, if you like, by asking questions or try and identify the situation. Let's have a look. So we'll use this as a good paragraph. So what you want to do is emphasize the problem into the kind of solution in here as well. So we ask the question what the importance is. We state that there's actually an easier way, so we're leading into it. And then we can actually talk in our free guide, you'll learn. And what we'll do is just copy and paste this. And then finally the call to action, click the learn more button to download your free guide. What I also like to do is actually create a bit.ly link and also include it in the link as well, in the text, sorry. This is so that people actually reading the text, or who actually, rather than skimming through it, will see they'll probably click on this. So once you've done that, test. So before I go on to the call to action, test long copy, test short copy. You may just want to test the headline. You'll actually be quite surprised what works. It all depends on obviously what you're trying to solve, and the more complex problem you're trying to solve, it may warrant a bit more explanation on what you're doing. It all depends on the sort of level of trust required as well. So it's important that you test long copy and short copy. So headline, learn more. We tend to leave everything else. Newsfeed description. You can try normally put no credit card required or something around those terms just to kind of emphasize the trust side of things as well. Once that's done, the conversion tracking side to the pixel. So as you can see here, Facebook actually will tell us if it feels there's too much sort of text in the image. So what we'll do is let's just use the stock image they provide instead. So let's use music production. And I actually find that using images works just as well compared to getting images created. Again, test it. It's whatever works for you really. It's the image is there to stop people in their feed and make them look at it. So as long as it's relevant, they'll be fine. So hopefully this should be better. Still hasn't liked. I suppose there's a bit more text in there. But let's try and find another one actually. There we go. So that's gone now. So once you're done, hit confirm, and then that should get sent to Facebook for a review. The review time can vary. It could take anywhere up to an hour or even an entire day. But Facebook will actually notify you once it's approved. Once the campaign's running, like I said, give it 2 to 3 days, just for it to generate some data. Facebook, after around sort of 500 impressions, Facebook will give you the relevant score, which is 1 out of 10. You want to get that as close to 10 as possible to demonstrate that Facebook is actually saying that the advert you've created is actually relevant to the audience you're targeting. Once you've done that, you can then see people clicking on it, and hopefully you'll get some conversions as well. And all I could advise at this stage is give it a few days, even test a few things. So what I'll actually do is go within here. If you assume the audience is the same, duplicate the advert. And call it. And you may actually want to change the image. So let's go to, let's try this one. When you do tests, just make sure that you only test one variable at a time, purely because the copy may be right, but the image won't work. And then click publish. If you can think of 5 or 6 different tests to test initially, we'll then see what works. You can then, what I tend to do is once you found it all depends on your budget. Once you found a winning audience, or winning ad copy rather, you can test it with different audiences as well. But I try and test hopefully 3 or 4 different audiences at the same time with maybe 4 or 5 different ad copies as well. And later on 2 or 3 days and see what it is. I think it's important to understand how much a lead is worth to you in terms of lifetime value of a customer. If you think in this example, you're giving away an ebook for free, but it's important to understand what's the buying journey or the customer journey to make them become a paying customer. Maybe you've got a content upgrade, maybe you've got a free course at the thank you page. So once you know that, that'll determine how much you're willing to be prepared to pay for a customer. And the customer that's prepared to spend the most to buy a customer will always win. So think about what else could you offer to your customer that's of value, that's within rules, and you've got consent for, just to comply with GDPR. I'd love to hear what you think on this video. I'd love to know what questions you have. If you have a question, leave a comment below. Please to this video as well, and look out for more Facebook videos. And I look forward to hearing from you soon.